Hi there, kiddos. Today we are starting a story called At the Beach. So if you go to your page 182 in your Reading Street book, you will see that title page and you will see the genre at the bottom there, which is realistic fiction. If you remember, realistic fiction is a story from an author's imagination, but it could happen in real life. So make sure you're following along with me and we will get this party started. I remember those evenings well when I was a young boy in Cuba, those balmy nights before a trip to Guanabo Beach. The spicy aroma of tortilla española that Mommy had left to cool would waft through the house as I lay in my bed. But I was always too excited to sleep. All I could think about was the soft white sand, the warm foamy water, and Mommy's delicious tortillas. Ah, a day at the beach. It was full of possibilities. One Saturday in May, I was awakened at the crack of dawn by sounds of laughter. My aunts, Rosa and Olga, had arrived with hammocks, blankets, and an iron kettle filled with Aunt Rosa's steaming congri. And best of all, they had arrived with my cousins, Louisa, Mari, and little Javi. Uncle Tony had come too. When we were ready to leave, Poppy, the only one in the family who owned a car, packed his Ford Woody wagon with the 9 of us. No one cared that we children had to squeeze into the back, along with the clatter of pots and plates and food and bags, towels and blankets and hammocks. Soon the engine turned and the car rumbled down the road and into the rising sun. Along the way, we drove past sugarcane fields and roadside markets. My cousins and I shouted warnings to the barking dogs and laughed at the frightened hens that scurried in every direction at the sight of our car. It seemed like a long time until the cool morning breeze that blew into the windows turned warm, and the growing heat made the aroma of Mommy's tortillas all the more tempting. Lick your skin, Fernando, my older cousin Louisa told me. If it tastes salty, that means we'll be there any time now. She was right. My skin tasted salty, and soon, almost magically, the turquoise ocean appeared as we rounded a bend in the road. Poppy pulled into the familiar dirt lot and parked under the pine trees. While the grown-ups unloaded the car, we eagerly jumped out and ran toward the sea, peeling off our clothes all the way. Next page. Remember, don't go too far, Mommy and Aunt Olga warned us sternly from the distance. I turned to see them picking up our scattered clothing. When we reached the edge of the ocean, the water felt cold. I waded farther in and went under to warm up quickly. When I emerged, I saw Louisa, Mari, and little Javi all standing still in the clear water. They were watching the schools of tiny gold and black striped fish rush between their legs. Then they swam over to join me, and together we rode the big waves. Later, Uncle Tony came in to play shark with us. We splashed and swallowed the stinging seawater as he chased us above and under the waves. But after a while, we tired him out, and he went back to sit with the grown-ups. I was getting very hungry, and for a moment I thought of returning with him to sneak a bite of Mommy's tortilla. But then I had a better idea. Let's explore the reef, I said. See, everyone agreed. Let's go. We all splashed out of the water and ran, dripping wet, across the sand. High above, the sun beat down on us. When we got to the marbled rocks, Louisa looked concerned. Our moms told us not to come this far, she said. I know the way well, I replied. Besides, nobody will notice. They're too busy talking. I looked in the distance and saw Mommy and my two aunts in the shady spot they had picked. They had set up a nice camp. The hammocks were tied to the pine trees. The blankets were spread over the fine sand. Poppy and Uncle Tony played dominoes while they sipped coffee and shared the cuncinaro de mani they had purchased from the peanut vendor. They were having fun. No one would miss us for a long time. Watch out for sea urchins, I warned as I led the group on our climb. The spiny black sea urchins hid inside the crevices and crannies of the rough boulders. It was very painful if you stepped on one. Louisa and Mari followed behind me. They were careful to only step on the rocks I stepped on. Little Javi came last. He stopped constantly to look at the cobitos, the tiny hermit crabs that scurried around on the rocks, and at the iridescent tropical fish that were concealed in the deepest tide pools. I had to keep checking behind me to make sure he didn't stray from our path. Just then I turned around to watch helplessly as Javi slipped on an algae-covered rock. Cuidado, I warned, but it was too late. Ay, he shrieked, and then began to cry uncontrollably. Cautiously, we all hurried back to help Javi. Louisa and Mari crouched down to examine his foot. He stepped on a sea urchin, Mari cried. Now what are we going to do? We should have never followed you, Louisa lamented. We'll all be punished. At that moment, I did not want to think of what the punishment would be. What if we couldn't have any of Mommy's tortillas? All I knew was that we had to help Javi right away. I looked around and found a piece of driftwood. Louisa, I ordered, hold his leg still while I remove the urchin from his foot. All right, we're gonna stop there for today on page 189. Make sure, if you haven't already, that you answer all of your Kami questions, and I hope you're liking the story so far. Talk to you soon. Bye.